Thank you for doing this. I guess you can you do the best introduction of yourself. Um, but yeah, super excited and thanks everybody for being here and everybody that's going to watch at home. This is Chef Lacey and I will let her take it from here.
Hello, everyone. So nice to meet you. My name is Chef Lacey Williams. I was born and raised in Jamaica, grew up in New York, and then I moved to Martha's Vineyard. I lived in Martha's Vineyard for about 8 years, and there I run a business called Nyamnz Martha's Vineyard, which is all about community and gathering our friends and family together around some of our favorite dishes. For me, a lot of my food highlights my cultural heritage. It's all about being able to preserve our legacy, our community, and all of our heritage through our food. So for today's recipe, um, typically in Jamaica, we have something called a escovitch fish, which is typically a whole fish. For most of my clients, I do a fillet. And it's a whole fish that's deep fried or fried on both sides, and then you make a pickle that goes on top. And the pickle typically has some of the things that are in our recipe today, which are onions, sweet peppers, scotch bonnet, thyme, scallion, and we also have some vegetables. So for today, we have the carrots, which are typical to the recipe. And then I also added some chocho. We call it chocho, but in the grocery store, you'll see chayote. So those are things that you can add in there as well. But you typically make a pickle. So for today's recipe, we're going to be making a coconut peri peri sea bass, which I think one of my guests are in here, Marcia. Marcia attended my dinner, which is a harvest table, which is a 5 course dinner that I typically host a pop-up series, which is a supper club. It's called the Harvest Table. And at the last one, I served this coconut peri peri sea bass. So basically, the coconut peri peri sea bass is a twist on the escovitch fish. It's the same ingredients, but the only thing that we're going to be different is that we're adding in this peri peri sauce and coconut milk. I think this is a great recipe for Friendsgiving so that you have the opportunity to be able to transport this to wherever you're going to share it with friends. Or if you're having it at home, that's great too. But if you're bringing this somewhere, you can bring your fish in one dish, your sauce in one dish, and then kind of plate it up when you get there so that you don't have to worry about um, affecting the integrity of the dish in terms of time and transportation. Following? So here I am cutting up my carrots. Things that are most important to me in terms of when preparing my vegetables is that they're cut up in, good sizes. So I try to cut my carrots into what we would call a chopstick cut, like that, right? Same thing for the chocho or the chayote. We try to cut it like that. And when you're cutting the chocho, you remove the middle. That's like a heart, looks like a seed in the middle. But you can keep the skin. You can remove the skin as well because sometimes it can be a little durable. It can be a little hard. But yes, you can keep the skin on. I like that little bit of crunch. And I like my vegetables a little bit more on the firm side. So cutting these into little chopstick cuts. Yeah. And I've already prepped all of my onions and sweet peppers. And those are in about the same width of a cut that this is. Is there anyone at home that's cooking right now?
No, we're paying very much attention and taking notes. Hi, Chef.
Yes, someone said they're at home cooking right now. Okay,
Oh yeah.
perfect. Yes. Okay, so you'll see here are my veggies. My veggies are cut just like this. Thank you for taking notes. I like to do my onions a little bit thin. So all of that is already prepped. Um, the only thing I want to do on camera with you guys is the fish. Now you can choose whatever. Ooh, beautiful picture. Very good, very good. And I like it. Looks like you used red onions. Delicious, delicious love. Um, so when you're choosing your fish, I like to do Chilean sea bass, black sea bass, snapper. What else would be really good with this? Swordfish would probably be good with this too. So I got a snapper at Wegmans. So we're gonna do the snapper. And typically in Caribbean households, you have to wash your fish. And so you would wash your fish with some sort of citrus, as opposed to like meat, you wash your feet with like a meat with an acid. So you can also do citrus as well, but you'd probably do like vinegar. So I'm just squeezing some lime on here, lemons. And this will also be really good in terms of flavor when you're about to season the fish so that you can then sear it. So I'm just gonna wash this off a little, and then we can get into getting it seasoned and on the stove. I'm excited. Okay, so I made my seasoning mix pre-made. It's basically just like all of your, you know, essentials that you would put in. Things that I would say are specific to this recipe in my Caribbean household is that we have like specific fish seasonings. So if there's any specific fish seasonings that you like, I'd recommend that you try those as well. And in the recipe, there are measurements along telling you how much of each item is in here. Um, there's onion powder, garlic powder. I like to put a bit of ground pimento if you have access to something like that. That gives good flavor. If not, your allspice, you can have a pestle and mortar. I meant to mention this. This is one of my very, very favorite um, kitchen appliances or tools. Like this here does everything that you need it to do. So even like when we go to sear our fish, you'll see me kind of beat some of my pimento in here, as well as some of the garlic. And I think one of the biggest things that people always talk about when they get Jamaican food is, oh, the reggae beads. They call them reggae beads. The reggae beads are too big when you're eating. So this is a great way to kind of blind them out. And you can put them in your rice, your soup, whatever it is, without having that huge bead bead that you end up biting into. So here is about how much I'm putting onto my fish. And also, someone had messaged me on Instagram and asked if this is a vegan dish and are there any vegan alternatives? I love that. So instead of fish, if anyone is does not eat meat, I would recommend doing something. Tofu is always a great option, but I think mushrooms would be really good. I think maybe like oyster mushrooms or trying to think about the other mushrooms, the ones that typically lay flat. Also, eggplant would be really good. Cauliflower, you can fry cauliflower, or if you do like a full head of cauliflower, do like a cauliflower steak. That would be really nice. So nicely lathered on both sides. And I got a snapper. And that's really it. And this recipe is like super easy. So it should not take that long, especially if you've already started cooking, as I've seen someone has. I think what's most important is going to be when you get to the stove and you start making that sauce. And this is something I see my grandmother do growing up. She likes to taste seasoning, which some people don't like to do, but I highly recommend. And I think one addition as well that I'll be adding into our sauce is some ginger. I like that little bit of spice and that heat that comes from the ginger, the flavor. And as you see, I'm going to put it into my pasta mortar, beat it a little bit. And also in today's recipe card, I also included the recipe for a hibiscus or sorrel drink. We're gonna get there. That's really fun. And I think that's also another great, easy thing that you can bring with you. And you can kind of make that any day after work and then put it down and kind of let it simmer. So yeah, I'd like to beat it until it's flat, right? Kind of trashy. It's gonna be awful if you're supposed to get this and you bite into it. I'm so sorry, but that's a surprise. So we have that, and then I'm also gonna beat some garlic, 3 cloves. So in the recipe, it calls for garlic. My recommendation with garlic is either you're gonna cut them really, really thin on the board, you can cut them really, really thin, or back with our pestle. While I do that, I'm gonna warm the stove.
Definitely got to get one of those now.
Yeah.
Chopping garlic just for that reason.
Yeah. Because sometimes you don't like the flavor and you just want it to disappear, you know, especially when you're cooking. And this also helps to release all of it. So I'm using, this is about like, these are actual pimento seeds directly from Jamaica. I typically bring some with me home, but the allspice in the grocery store is similar, not exactly the same, but similar. And if you can get authentic pimentos, that's always best. Um, but I'm using just like a little bit of a handful. This might be about 8 or 10 little of these tiny beads. If it's the bigger ones, I'd probably say use like 4 or 6, and then just put those in there and it grinds right out. And actually, it smells so good and it looks so beautiful. And I think one of the major keys that I always talk about, especially when cooking, is that like it's a visual thing. So you kind of have to feel it, right? How do your eyes feel about it? Especially in terms of like this dish. I really like when it's all colorful, like all these bright, vibrant colors. It really lets me know that we have balance. So you can see what that looks like in there. Maybe take some of it up, right? Yeah, I can hear the oil popping. So I have a little bit of, preferably use olive oil, but you can also use vegetable oil here in the stove. Let's see if I can catch it at a good angle. Turn her down. Okay, probably makes that would be better. Yeah. You know, if the fan is a little too loud. Right. I'm gonna do my fish first, and then we'll move the fish onto something so that it can relax a little bit while we work on our sauce afterwards. Look at that, it's so pretty. Do we have any update photos? Yeah, this snapper is pretty good, and actually, it's from. Um, I'm using olive oil, but you can also use vegetable oil. This snapper is from Wegmans, and look at that. It's like thick. I don't know if you guys have a Wegmans near you, but beautiful. And actually, in my preference, I'm going to pour some of this out. Too much for me. There we go. Yeah. So when we're about to fry this fish or sear it, right? This is not a deep fry. I want to put a little bit of this in the oil, and if you have a Scotch bonnet pepper, that would be good too, to kind of flavor our oil for the fish. So I grab some sticks of thyme, those go in there, and keep this oil low.
At Wegmans, do they sell the cut like that, or do they descale it and cut it in that way, or did you have to
Yeah,
ask for that, or did you do
no,
it?
this is exactly how they were sold. They had a few pieces that were a few different sizes. But yeah, that's exactly how it was sold, scaled and cut into this fillet. And they also did
Nice.
have whole fish options, which, as I said, typically in our culture, we do the whole fish. If you wanted to, you could do a whole fish as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So letting that cook around a little bit, add some flavor to our oil. And oh my gosh, if you're making this, if you have this and you're making this, um, if you beat, right, like take something like, I don't know, a beer bottle or something like that. You could definitely even use like a rolling pin and beat this on your cutting board if you don't have the pestle and mortar. When you make this and add this to the oil, you'll be able to smell it. It's delicious. I don't want my garlic to burn, so we're gonna go in with the fish. And move it around a little bit so she doesn't get stuck. And turn up the heat just a tad. Yes, chef. That's so good. That's so good. This is what Marsha said.
When I close my eyes, Chef Lacey, I can smell the aromas.
Does. It smells so good. It smells amazing. Okay. So look at that one side, beautiful. Um, a good way to gauge your fish, right? So we don't want to overcook our fish. We also don't want to undercook our fish. One thing I would say though is if this is something you're going to be making and then serving later, or like you'll have the opportunity to reheat it. Um, just keep that in mind when you're cooking through the fish, right? And then what I love to use is this gauge right here. So you'll see that the fish will start cooking through right there. You'll see as it turns white from raw to that white color, that flesh. You can use that as a good gauge. You don't want to cook it too much so that you have the opportunity to do it again later. So you have if you're going to put it in the oven to reheat it, you'll have that chance without it being overcooked. Turn up our heat a little bit. All right, well, I let that go on. We can move on to our sauce that I have over here. Let's see if we can move back enough so you can see both hands. This is such a great angle. Okay. Get our stove going for this. Again, olive oil. For this one, I feel like order is super important because you want to cook your vegetables before you cook your hard vegetables before you cook your soft vegetables. If that makes sense. And I also have some red Scotch bonnet peppers in here. I would recommend if you're choosing any colors, red and green are really good. And there are times like when I'm cooking for my large catering jobs where I'll put this on the stove and just sear it on each side just to get the color and the crisp, but then finish it in the oven. So that is something you can do as well.
What's the temp for the oven if you do that?
I would do about 370.
Okay.
You don't need more than about like 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And I'll show you at which point I would stop it in terms of, that color variation in the middle there, where it would stop and then.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Just bring you up close.
Oh my God.
And you can see all the little chips of garlic on there. The thyme is on there. Yeah. And if you were doing like a cauliflower steak, same scenario. I would put it on here. I would probably use a cast iron, or if you have a grill, I would do a grill, do both sides. Use some olive oil. Don't forget your herbs because those are going to make a big difference, especially with the cauliflower steak or something that's veggie based. Yeah. I love that. Okay, let's get into the oil for our veggies. Oh, almost forgot. Gotta add that in there. You really want to not forget to flavor the oil. And I have this heat on medium high. Check on our fish. He's looking good. He's looking almost cooked through. So this would be at about a point where I would take it out and put it in the. It's almost cooked through. This side is basically all the way cooked through. Don't forget, you're going to pour that sauce on it, and it will continue to cook while the sauce is on there. So you don't want to overcook her in the pan. It's really important not to overcook. And I give my food pronouns. Sorry, guys. I have a little time. Let those cook a little bit. I'm using red, green, orange bell peppers. And actually, in Jamaica, they don't use bell peppers in the extra beef recipe. Not tricolored. Okay, I can smell my fish. Oh, look at her. Put her under the light. Almost ready. All right. When she starts oozing out like that on the stove, most of the time you're almost done, or you're just about, and then you can put it to rest. Because all meat will continue to cook even when you turn the stove, just because of the temperature, especially fish. Fish and steak definitely put these to rest. So I'm going to flip this one more time, and then we'll put it to rest. I'll turn that stove on. Yay! How gorgeous. Now I want these al dente, just a little soft. I still want to bite in them because this also adds texture into our dish. So this is also very important not to overcook. If it's something that you like your vegetables so soft, in order for you to be able to eat onions and veggies, you need to have them extremely, extremely soft. I completely get it. Um, do what works for you. But for myself, preferably, I like a little bit of a bite in them. So I'm not going to cook them to the point where they're translucent or mushy. And what helps is while you slowly turn the stove down, what helps to ensure that that doesn't happen, it definitely keeps your heat low. Cooking is a labor of love where you have to be patient with your food and gentle with it. All right, turning off my fish. And this is something you can base too. If you have those skills where like you add in the butter and you pour it over and baste it, that would definitely add flavor. Yeah, look at that. Yes, it was medium high on the veggie side. You see that? Let's take a bite. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, salt. And the pepper is spicy. This is where you add salt. You'll add salt multiple times throughout this dish. But definitely important here. And then again, when we add in the coconut milk. And don't forget that the veggies are going to continue to cook when you add in the coconut milk. So this is why it's also important not to overcook it at this. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. You can still hear a little crunch, but it's not too soft. So peri peri sauce, I think it's a sauce that is indigenous to places like Bahamas. Um, we do not make peri peri in Jamaica. Typically, if you go to a Caribbean grocer, you'll be able to get peri peri. Uh, oh, that's beautiful. Sorry, just seeing some of your comments. You dusted your snapper with cornstarch so that the sauce clings to it. Oh, that's super chef skills. So what's a good alternative that's going to give you the flavor that we're thinking about is this gochujang sauce. It's a Korean sauce. I like to add the gochujang at the point in which we're here before the coconut milk. So again, it's getting onto all your vegetables, it's getting into your oil, it's getting into your pan. Hmm. I had also beaten that ginger earlier. That was a good time to throw in the ginger. You want to throw in all of these spices and herbs um, during the time that they can be seared in the oil. That's kind of what really brings all of the flavor. If you put them directly into the sauce, like while it has a liquid, the flavor doesn't hold as well. I'm turning this down a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more gochujang sauce. And that everything has all that beautiful red color. Okay, put up the heat a little bit, and then we're gonna go in with our coconut milk. So important for me when getting your coconut milk is that you use a full fat coconut milk. And when you get a full fat coconut milk, it will have the fat like right on top. I love. I'm going to pour that right over. Yes, John. I'll just use the whole can. And what you said about the cornstarch is the same thing with the full fat coconut milk. When you use full fat coconut milk, that fat will help to hold the flavors to the fish and also thicken it. So that'll be beautiful. That'll make it nice and thick. From this point on, the sauce is very much a season to taste, right? So you add your salt. Something that I always say is major key in this sauce, which is really important, is lemon wedges. Lemon is like salt. It helps to kind of bring the flavors together. So don't think of salt as making something salty. It's more bringing all the flavors together. And the lemon helps do that, especially in this dish, right? So right now, it tastes very bland, to be honest. It tastes like just coconut milk and it's a little spicy from the Scotch bonnet. I can taste some of the herbs. So we're gonna let that come to a little bit of a simmer. And I'm gonna add salt. I also did not include things that you can make to eat with this recipe. See, the salt already made it better. Woo, child. This is a slap a knee moment. See what you said here? He said, since I subbed the gochujang, I added a splash of fish sauce. Beautiful. I think that will also add aromatic flavors. Yes, you do have to crack through the fat at the top, but it's a good sign. Yeah, the salt already really did that. Okay, waiting for it to simmer a little bit. I can see it popping, the little bubbles popping in there. So it's coming, it's bubbling. I'm going to grab my lemon wedges. Now, I always recommend using fresh ingredients. That's like one of my biggest recommendations. So meaning like if I said to use lemon wedges, I mean lemon wedges and not lemon juice. Lemon juice is possible to do the job, but lemon wedges will be really important because you're not only getting juice inside, but you're also getting the rind. And that also adds a whole different level of flavor in here, which might be really small and you might not be able to tell the difference as much. But my palate can tell the difference. And I promise you, it makes a big difference. So there's that. And same thing, like if, when I say thyme, I would do not recommend using dried thyme that comes in like a seasoning bottle. I mean, fresh thyme. Those things are really important. They'll make all the difference. So when you're using your lemon wedge, you squeeze some lemon juice over like so. And I would recommend using two of them. And then you just drop it in there if you want that. A nice little stir. And also, you could use sesame oil when making this instead of olive oil, just like you talked about using the fish sauce. Sesame oil, fish sauce, gochujang, all of those things would definitely add some elevated flavors to the dish. Now, if you see my carrots are still not like plump, they're not like floppy, they're not falling apart. Same thing with my sweet peppers and my onions, they still exist. They're not mushy in there. I can still identify them. Only mushy thing is that ginger. And see, now we can also identify what's the ginger, so then we don't have to have that surprise of biting into it later. And then at the end, you can take it out. Uh-huh. That's the way. Like it. Give me a little bit more salt. Good job. And if I'm using pepper, I recommend cracked pepper. I can give you a close up. So at this point, you have two options. Thank you. Yeah, phenomenal. Oh, I have two mentions to make. You have two options. You can either choose to take your fish and put it directly into the sauce. If you were baking it on the oven, then you would take the sauce, pour it over the fish. It's 100% your choice. I am going to put my fish in the sauce because we're having it for dinner. Mm-mm-mm. This is the part that you mess up often. How do you keep the crisp of the meat when you put it in the sauce? It's not easy. There's no real answer. I think the best way to say it would be that you put this in the oven. You can put the oven on roast, or you can put it on a high heat really quickly in order to maintain your crisp. And then you have to pour the sauce over and serve immediately. But essentially, because it is a sauce, you have to try not to use too much of it. Um, so like me, I put it down belly first and kept the skin at the top so that we can try to preserve some of that crisp. But for the most part, you will lose it. But easiest way to not lose it would be to pour the sauce over. Yeah, and there you have it. It's your coconut peri peri bass. Well, snapper. Your coconut peri peri snapper. And you see that sauce? It has a little body to it.
Oh my God, I can't wait to bust this out next week.
And you're plant-based, right, Tahira?
Oh, I'll bust down some fish though. I tried it,
Okay.
but that's just the extent of it, just fish.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to mention as well is sometimes people wonder, like, okay, now what do I eat with this? Any form of starch. So potatoes, baked potato, mashed potatoes. I don't know if you want to do a potato salad. You could do a potato salad. Rice is always a great option. I would substitute for maybe like a pumpkin rice or something that has vegetables in it, something on vegetables. What else? You can do cauliflowers and vegetables on the side, a salad, anything at all. Cornbread. Yes, yes. So I added in one more recipe for this evening, which is the sorrel drink. Main reason I added the sorrel was a bonus recipe, just so that you have something that if maybe let's say you don't want to put in all this time and effort and you don't have the ability to do all of this, especially if you're doing it in bulk for more than, one person, two people. The sorrel is something that you can basically boil as a tea overnight and then let it steep until the next day. And then you can put it in small containers and bring it, and then you can leave it with those people. They can have it now, they can have it later, they can drink it, with their family and friends, or they can save it until any special day they'd like. And then that brings us into the whole discussion of canning or jarring. So you can get some mason jars, fill those up, and drop them off to your neighbors, your friends, whoever, and you'll be able to bring that to more than one place as opposed to this is like your signature dish, right? You pull this out, everything's amazing. I'm going to plate this and then we're going to try it together. Is anybody else have their dish ready? You're welcome, Brittany. Okay. Waiting for the rice to finish sounds good. I'm excited for us. I didn't make any rice. I should have thought about that. But we'll have it together. I'm gonna grab it off the stove. Sorry I have you guys so far away. Hope this is helpful. Well, I'm gonna grab a spoon so I can like drizzle the sauce. My mouth is watering. I didn't even expect to feel like this about this. Okay, looky there. I need to clean up the plate, but I'm gonna take this time out of here. And then uh, I call for scallion in the recipe. You can definitely put that when you're on the stove, but I think garnish is really cute, especially if you're doing a Friendsgiving, you want to bring something and make it look nice. Uh, Scallion's a good garnish, and garnish matters. It's not just pretty stuff on the plate. It tastes good. It makes a difference, especially on the finishing touch. that a good angle? Is this a good view for everybody? And I want to see everyone's dish. You guys have to submit photos when you make it. So here, I hope you're able to share with me everyone's photos. Will we have like a gallery?
Yes, please. If you do make it, I don't care when it is, please
Yeah.
send us the photos speak so that Chef Lacey can also build her portfolio as well. So we all family, let's support each other.
And this is like your final touch of color. Remember I said that like everything matters in terms of all the colors come together and it will all be so beautiful. This right here is your final touch of color. So I'm grabbing out the thyme. Also grabbing out, I can identify my ginger. So tempted. And in the culinary world, I would clean up my plate. But ah, tell me that didn't just top it off. There you have it, guys. Even with my splattered plate, I think that topped it off. Your coconut piri piris. Thank you. Do you want to try it? Right here? Yeah. Go ahead. Who's gonna try it? Who's gonna try it? You want to try it? No one in my family wants to try. So you can try off camera and give me your live feedback. I'm gonna try. Mm. It's so good. You're welcome. Mm. Oh my. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy. Please share all your pictures and videos. I'm in love. That was my first time doing it with the snapper. I usually do it with sea bass.
I love
And snapper made a difference.
snap.
Hmm
Delicious. Which one's your favorite?
I think the snapper might win.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't wait.
The snapper might win. This was delicious. Well, thank you guys, and thank you to Hira for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Chef. First of all, your voice is so soothing. I could cook with you all day. It's just so soothing. But thank you so much for taking your time and energy and your skills and sharing it with the community. I genuinely appreciate you. And please let me know if there's anything that I can do to reciprocate this. Thank you all for
Absolutely.
being here and showing up and cooking along with us. I hope that it was fun and educational because I know I learned a couple things and can't wait to get your pictures and feedback and see how everything goes. And happy holidays. If you're into that thing next week. Um,
And
and
happy Friendsgiving as you guys are gathering with your family and friends outside of the holiday.
yeah, all of that. I hope that, you guys have a safe little bit of time off. And I am super excited for the next event. And Chef Lacey, you are now part of the community, whether you like it or not.
I love it.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
You're welcome, Marsha.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chef Lacey. That was amazing. Can't wait to
Thank
try
you.
this.
Yes,
Happy
yes.
holidays, everyone.